This decorative cube project is going to give you the option to do this type of line drawing here, or you can do an illustrative type continuous drawing all the way around it, like this one here, using animals and bugs and so forth. To start off this project, you're going to need this piece of paper that's sectioned off into all these squares. You'll also need your fine ultra point Sharpie, black Sharpie. To do this, you're going to need to find one of the sections, decide on which section you want to start in first. And to do this type of technique of taking straight lines and trying to make them look curved, you're going to need to follow some careful instructions here. Now, you don't have to have a straight edge to do this, but some people prefer to use a ruler or a straight edge to do this, and some just do it freehand. But you want to start out by drawing a line from one end to the other and leaving a little bit of space. And then just keep doing the same thing, and it'll work its way in as long as you're moving it in, going just a little bit in every time that you draw a line. And you'll just keep doing this all the way around, and it'll just gradually become a smaller and smaller box. Before you start doing this on this piece of paper, I recommend you practicing on a scratch piece of paper. So to show you a more close-up practice, you're going to take your straight edge, or if you choose to do it freehand, that's fine. Start in one corner and gradually move it in, draw the line. Then you'll do the same thing from that end, gradually moving it in just a little bit and drawing a line. And then do the same thing at the end of that line, gradually moving it in just a little bit, and do the same thing to where you just keep doing that same thing, going all the way around until that square gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, in each box you can do it differently. You can divide it into different sections and do that same technique all the way around. Like this one, I divided diagonally in half, and I just went around and did the two triangles, doing that same technique, trying to mirror image them by doing it the same way on both sides. So now that I've got those two boxes filled in, I'm just going to come up with something else to fill in these others. So for example, this box down here, I'm just going to draw a big X, dividing it into 4 triangles, and I'm going to do that same technique into each of those triangles to get that curvature of line with straight lines. Variety will help depending on what shapes you put in there. Like this one, I just drew a big square in the center, kind of like a diamond shape, and then did the same technique on the inside and in all the triangles surrounding it. So just keep in mind when you're doing this that you want to mirror image the design next to it so it's all even. Now comes the time to glue. Take your glue stick, and you'll notice that this box has already been perforated so it bends real easily. I did that specially for you so that it will bend at the corners and the creases, so you can turn it into a cube. So these little blank spaces that I'm pointing out are where the glue is going to go, or where the tabs are going to connect, as you see how I fold it up here real quickly to see the end result. And that's what it should look like after you've glued it. You want to be really careful about how you put the glue on. Make sure you put it only in the spot where it's clear right there, or where you're going to attach it. So you put it on that tab, and then you bend it over and line up the edges and press it on the inside. You see how I'm taking my thumb and my finger and just kind of tacking it down. Then you'll do the same thing to the other side. You want to make sure you start with this section, and you can also glue it on the inside right there, as long as it's going to meet up to that tab. And then you press it in like that, making sure you got a good connection. So I'm going to do the same thing to the next part, to where it just closes up to where you'll just have one flap left. I'm going to apply the glue here. Then I'm going to turn it around, put glue on this tab. And it's kind of tricky here. You're going to have to kind of widen the sides so you can get those little flaps in there. And then once they line up, you just press them in and stick them together. The glue stick should be strong enough glue to hold it together. And you'll see how it's starting to turn into a cube. Now this last flap can be kind of tricky. Some people leave it unglued so they can just have it like a box. That's fine, where you open it up and put some things in it if you want to. Sometimes they'll display it upside down like this so you can't tell that it's not glued. But just for the sake of this project and these instructions, I'm going to go ahead and glue it. I'm going to hold it very carefully and put a little dab of glue along the top edge right there. Then I'm going to do the same to this side right here. Of course, everywhere that the tabs are going to be touching and sealing it closed. Put a good generous amount right there. And then I'm going to carefully fold it over and slide those little tabs inside the box, and then start pressing the sides where you know that the glue is, making sure that they seal up. You might have to go over it a couple of times and jiggle it a little bit just to make sure that all the glue areas are sticking to each other. Be sure and take a picture of your finished cube and submit it into Canvas.